Hey, hello, welcome everybody. Really glad to have you back. We thought for this week's current events episode, Ana Luisa and I would talk about an article that I was just recently sent from a woman named Cynthia Bourgeault, Dr. Cynthia Bourgeault. She's a theologian and scholar and brilliant writer, and it really helped me feel some kind of new level of hope amidst the despair of all the crazy turmoil going on in the world. And so we thought we'd offer maybe to talk about that and maybe offer a little bit of that to all of you. So I wanted to welcome you. And I thought we'd just start discussing, maybe do some quotes from it and just think about what it is that we're all going through right now and in ways that we can maybe hold a little more hope.
Right. Well, I just want to also say that today is March 9th, 2026.
Yeah.
If anybody in the future is going to listen to this.
Hmm.
And right now it feels like the world is contracting with like an urgency to create instability so
Mm.
that people in power can stay in power. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that a lot of folks, and also in this day and age, there are a lot of people who are older, who are dying, who are beginning
Hmm.
this end, this passing through this threshold. There are new people coming into this world. There are young people who are taking note of the chaos that um, others have created in their stead. And I just want to offer up that if in general it feels like a very dismal time.
Mm-hmm. It can, yeah.
It can feel this way. And, if we're going to be fully human, we can be living in paradox, which
Yes.
is in the exterior part of this ourselves, there is a lot of turmoil, and we can cultivate an inner sanctuary. And
Hmm.
so this article is interesting. And Wakil,
Yeah.
let's see how it can be a
Yeah.
salve for us 21st century ers.
Well, yeah, and actually that's, we'll get to that at the end, but that's really kind of, as human beings, it seems like we are stuck in this cycle. We had an episode a while back about the cycle of war and the cycle of conflict. And it's sort of like we can't seem to grow out of that, and we aren't trying. Well, in some cases, there's advantages to some small group of humans, enough so that they'll keep that cycle going because it helps them stay in power. It helps them stay,
Mhm.
wealthy and whatever, and comfortable apparently, and helps them not be afraid. That's kind of where we came to last time we talked about that, was maybe this is how they keep from being afraid. But the results of that is that we are allowing the planet and the culture and all of our siblings, we're just watching them be degraded and harmed in many, many ways over and over to more and more deeper and deeper extent. And she begins by speaking to the fact that there's a parallel, the analog of humans on the planet being somewhat like a cancer cell. And I thought the way she put it was interesting. And we've had people argue about this, but I think there is something to be said for the analog that, cancer cells to quote her, cancer cells are driven by one thing only, their own insatiable impulse to multiply, until in the blindly aggressive pursuit of that impulse, they wind up destroying their host.
Mhm.
And, I'm dealing with cancer in my life, with my dear wife and others that I've known. And of course, it's a huge problem going on everywhere. So when you look at that and look at the way it treats the human body, it's not hard to see that analogy between the way cancer attacks and destroys the host body and the way we are just attacking and destroying our host planet. So that's one of the essences that we've talked about, how that affects us internally and how that affects our lives and the grief that we hold. But as you said, Ana Luisa, we also, in the midst of that, look for ways to stay in balance. So
We do. And it just occurred to me, I think in the 80s and 90s, we all talked about how humans were parasitic,
yeah.
right? Like we were just like, like ticks, and people would give a big pushback for that. But I do like the cancer analogy. And also, I just remembered The Selfish Gene, the Richard Dawkins book,
Oh, yeah.
right? How we don't actually have choice. It's our genes that propel us into these choices into the future.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't understand so much about why we're in this place with conflict.
Yeah.
And I'm just, holding the thought that there is more to this, but it our time requires us to be more curious and dig in deep to what it is that we're doing individually and collectively.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I personally feel sometimes like all those phone calls to the people I'm supposed to call, all those letters, all those marches, they're for
Hmm.
naught. But she talks about this, right? That's
Yeah.
like, where was it that said that collectively, like once we get into that fullness of all of us kind of moving together, ensemble en français, we can make a change, but it
Yeah.
requires a lot of us.
Yeah. And it really does. It really is kind of about an evolution of the humanity into a whole nother type of species almost. And that's the other thing she talks about. And she quotes Teilhard in speaking to the fact that evolutionarily, if you look at the large picture, we're a tiny little speck in that picture. But evolutionarily, species come and go.
Mhm.
Um, Different organizational life comes and goes. And often, if we look back at the billions of years of the planet Earth, there's been, things have hit the earth and destroyed everything on the planet, but things have come back after that, and different species have come out. And she
That's
actually
right.
speaks to the fact that if you look at that, that they seem to come back kind of where they
They
go
left
away for a
off
while, but they come back kind of where
different
they
and
came
stronger.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and so perhaps we can hold that as part of it. That it's part of the kind of the promise. One of the promises that she spoke about, that in a way we can look at. There's finally a place. She says, from that place of recognition that something will come back. There's a bit of solid ground that we can put our feet on. She
mhm,
quotes T.S. Eliot, "I rejoice having to construct something upon which to rejoice." So we're constructing that, or we're holding that, I guess, that sense.
uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
really the only, and what you said earlier about, it's going to take a critical mass of change, which may depend upon everything we know going away.
That's right.
And there's a beautiful book, Emergent Strategies, which
That's
kind
right.
of uh, looks at how, as organizations on the planet, as groups, as communities, sometimes the only way through is to let what you have go away entirely, and allow something else
That's
to
right.
emerge.
And there's 2 parts of that that I really love. It's like, you allow things to just kinda settle into its own death, its own dying, doneness,
Yeah,
quietness, and kind of sifting into ideas and hearts and minds of people and resurfacing after being composted. Like,
right.
this could be for any number of, organisms, but it also, I was thinking about how we get so attached to the notion that we are doing this 100% correctly every single time.
You're right.
And we slam into walls, we get hurt, we like get broken, but we get up and we still want to try to do it the same way. And it just made me think about our interview recently with somebody who said that when families go through the death of a parent or both parents,
Hmm.
61% of those siblings will not be talking to each other after that.
Wow. Yeah, that was
And
incredible.
it was I've thought about it all week since that
Yeah.
interview, and I come back to this, like, if we're gonna continue to do the same thing over and over again, and we don't see us letting go of these attachments, letting death move us into nothingness or
Hmm.
like the simplest part of ourselves, we're gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really true. It's true, on a less macro scale, maybe, as we're thinking about it right now. Kind of, we're looking at the macro, but in all of our organizational connections, all of our community connections,
That's right.
and like our spiritual growth, our spiritual organizations, we see it over and over again. There's a sense that we have to hold on to the past. We have to say the same
Yes.
things everybody else ever said. We have to honor the founders, and that's nothing wrong with that. But when you honor the founders to the extent that you no longer are growing, no
That's right.
longer allowing emergence to happen, and new learning and new understandings to happen, you've basically died. You've given
Mhm.
up, you know.
Mhm.
And I think that's in a way what she speaks to in this article is that that's maybe where we are as a culture right now, is that we've gone to the extent where we can't go any further, and that
Mhm.
it's obviously, as we look around, it's unsustainable.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so at some point, the earth is, she speaks to the point that the earth itself is going to take care of itself, you
That's
know,
right.
and that may mean that there's a change that may even be catastrophic for on our level of
For
things
humanity or
for
for,
humanity. Yeah.
yeah, organisms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things she speaks to, and why we can hold this little spark of hope, is that there is sort of this, and this is theological in a way, the sense that there is a spark. Um, and as she says, from deep within the geosphere, there's still that restless spirit drawing it onward to manifest new forms and innovations. So holding that, that's kind of this place of hope that I think this particular article brings to me.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder if there's a place to consider for all the folks out there who are atheists or non-believers or spiritual
yeah.
not really, like, when we speak of spiritual, the spark, I don't know that it shuns non-traditional spiritual folks out of that.
Oh no.
I think it's that urgency to continue. It's that, that reptile brain, it's the selfish
Yeah.
gene.
Yeah.
It's that
Protection.
we will move forward no matter how we get there, right?
Yeah.
So it's the how do we choose to move forward is the piece that I'm very interested in these days. And
Hmm.
as Wakil knows, I spend a lot of time in my morning prayers. It's like asking to notice my attachments to whatever. Like if I'm attached
Yeah.
to certain shoes or if I'm attached to a certain walk, or
Yeah.
because it is about letting cycles of life, meaning a birth and a death, circulate through, move through, right? And
Yeah.
I want to press on and say, like, death is part of every aspect of our lives. It's,
Absolutely.
we can die to a philosophy that we once held so true that we would die on a mountain with us. No, we outgrow things, and it's okay to look and say, oh, that is no longer of service. That,
Yeah.
image of God is so little. Like, I need to get to know God in a different way, or
Yeah.
the beloved, or that song is suddenly just like the lyrics are not speaking to my heart any longer. I can't sing in them
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
All
It's
these are
very,
small
yeah.
deaths, and it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to
Yeah.
just notice them and
I think it's actually
mm,
more than okay. I think it's actually healthy. It's important.
that's right.
You know, if we're going to continue to grow, we spoke to somebody recently who we recognized the way they were speaking, that they were talking about the, that really big time in your life when everything seems to no longer make sense. You know, the dark
Mhm,
night of the soul,
mhm,
as Saint John of the Cross spoke about, that there's this sense that, wow, all these practices, all these things that I grounded myself in, no
mhm,
longer hold me. I'm
mhm.
floating, I'm falling, you know,
That's right. I'm
and to
lost.
yeah, and to
Yeah.
actually embrace that,
Mhm.
and to recognize that as a divine gift, or amazing, unearthly, and a gift from the planet, or a gift from life, that, wow, you know, I can
Yeah.
actually find something new down here in the
It's
mud.
life. Like, we're okay with babies growing up to be teenagers, young adults, mothers, fathers, older people dead, right? Like, there is a
Yeah,
trajectory, so why don't we allow, you know, concepts of self, uh, beliefs in the world, beliefs in something to, like, also have a trajectory of growth, and when
yeah.
it's not growing, it probably needs to die or shift.
Yeah, yeah, because we see it. right? We see
Mhm.
the evidence of it. We see the evidence of it in what's going on around us right now in the
That's
culture
right.
and in the communities. But we also see the evidence of it in just our organizations when they start to just become less relevant, and there are a bunch of old people going and no young people going anymore.
That's
That's
right.
one indication of it. It's sort of become stagnant. And if you can't
Mhm.
if you can't allow that and actually embrace that sense of this is all not making sense anymore, then you become stagnant and you quit being dynamic and growing
Right.
and quit being alive, really.
So
So
in that
yeah,
moment, I would hope that people could recognize that this is a death,
yeah,
and I'm okay with this death.
yeah, and
I'm
even ritualize it. Have fun with
have
it.
have fun or mourn it, weep it,
Yeah,
grieve the loss of what you thought you would become that you never got to achieve,
yeah,
and say, "That just wasn't a good plan. I'm shifting and doing it a different way."
mhm,
But I think that that is just saying that aloud, I just realized, like, there's so much shame in not in the deaths that go on around us and
right.
the who we thought we'd be and who we thought our relationships would be like. Um, this is a place to say, "That was a death. It needs to be honored, and I can move on."
Yeah, yeah. And the way I move on is in the acceptance and in the celebration or the gratitude,
Mhm.
and the gathering of my believers, my people, to do that with me. Uh,
That's right.
yeah. So you're right on the on the local organizational or community scale. That's something that's happening every day,
Mhm.
and that can be embraced, and that as our audience, as ourselves, people who can hold that sense or understand that, to be the ones maybe that lift that up, that say,
Mhm.
well, that's maybe it's not the end of the world that our community is no longer growing.
Right.
Maybe we need to think about how we might emerge into something new, and
Mhm.
maybe that requires us to let go entirely and
Mhm.
to let it just be something, let it go altogether and start something else, or not start something else,
Right.
right?
Or, yeah, it shifts into something else. I'm gonna say I mourn Sears going away.
Sears,
I
yeah.
grew up with Sears, like,
Yeah, me too. Right down
it
the road from
right
me.
down the road, and it's gone, and I
Yeah.
noticed when it left because I was like, "Where am I gonna get my tires?" You know? "Where do I go get my tires?" 'Cause and it annoyed me, and it was sad that my, formative years spent at shopping at Sears, that was it. It was gone.
Wow.
And
Wow. That's
so
such a great example of, right now what's going on, right?
that's right,
Yeah.
I I just wanna press people to think about the many the myriad of deaths that occur on a daily basis around us,
Mhm.
and, the noticing and again, I go back to that gentleman I met, last year who said, "Oh, I don't have any connection with death. I don't have any deaths whatsoever." And when I pointed out that indeed, like, there were dead things around us, he's like, "Oh, uh,
Yeah.
I
Hey,
never
it's the
thought about that."
fall.
Never thought about that.
It's the autumn. Everything's dying.
And it was interesting because this morning I had to drive somewhere and, um, a big raccoon got hit on the road.
Mm,
And
mm,
I always mourn the loss of our little kin. So I took the time, I watched his cars swerve to not hit it again.
mhm.
And I was wondering, did they say, "Oh, that is a dead raccoon. I'm so sad for my dead raccoon." I called the city to have him picked up because it matters to me that I
Yeah.
don't want his or her little body to just be, like, smushed up all day long. But it occurred to me, like, hundreds of people have gone by down this road. How many of them took the time to
Mhm.
witness,
Yeah.
I say a little prayer of goodbyes and, do something to, like, help the situation, right?
Yeah.
We
Probably not that many.
No, we need to, like, take those moments and I mean, it takes 3 seconds. Like, there's a
Yeah,
death.
yeah. Well, and it's important, and if we bring this back out to the scale of the planet and what we're watching happen,
Yeah.
it's the same thing, how many people are just and again, no judgment. It's totally normal and to just get numb, right?
Mhm,
And just say,
mhm.
"I can't look at this anymore. I'm gonna quit watching the news.
That's right.
I'm gonna ignore it. I'm not gonna go march. I'm not gonna call anybody."
That's right.
It's a very, very normal response and a very and if that's the response
It's
totally
okay.
do it. It's okay. And don't, I don't want anybody to start feeling like I should be doing more. But the point is that as those of us who can anyway, and as you can, to notice and to take in the sense of, yeah, it is horrible. And I can hold that. And I can also wish for, hope for, and work toward
That's right.
a an evolution and an emergence. And what
Mhm,
does that look like for you
mhm,
personally?
mhm.
And think about it for you personally. What does it look like? In her articles, she speaks to how she approaches that, and I think it was very inspiring to me to read. To think about, okay, things are like constantly changing in our world. We're watching a lot of little deaths happen, and we're watching really a much larger one. In this case, what we're talking about here, this kind of macro world falling apart around us, right? Um, but when it does, what do we do? What is our part to create the new, evolutionary form that's going to come forward from that? Um, she noted that, when you look at history, look at the macro histories, how millions of years of history on the earth, things seem to, after a pause or after a disaster, they seem to spring forth again all over the planet, right?
Mhm,
And so in a way, we're kind of holding that belief that if we can hold truth, um, she quotes Teilhard, or no, she quotes, Teilhard saying, truth only has to appear once in one single mind for it to be impossible for anything ever to prevent it from spreading universally and setting everything else ablaze. And I love that gives us something to hold, no matter
mhm,
how bad it is, we can hold that sense that we are a part of this long arc, and
mhm,
that, really, what we're called on, if we can do this and when we can do this. And I guess I would say if and when, because as we spoke to earlier, it's not everybody's gonna be able to handle this. But
mhm,
if our part of the continuing evolution of the species, if you will, is just to believe that something more can happen, and to hopefully grow beyond this kind of adolescent stage of humanity, where we have to be afraid, and we have to support, and we have to fight for our space, and there's not enough. Um, and then hopefully then, things will finally change. And so I guess that's what we do every day. She says, to that hope and the work entailed, to bring it into reality, she will gladly dedicate the remaining years of her life. It's the only thing I can do, she says, and then my heart tells me it will not go for nothing. So I think for me, that's the sense that I try to hold. Um, what can we do? We can just be the best we can be, and
mhm.
hopefully plant seeds for whatever will come up after it all falls apart. Right? That makes sense or
I don't
not?
know, we'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
but no, not.
Yes! Well, if this isn't for some people, it'll be for others, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not it's alright.
Yeah. So
So, yeah.
I know. So, do you, what do you have a practice yourself that you would recommend that people think about? I mean, we talked about it, I guess. It's just a willingness to notice. Um, I just feel like I want to take another step, if there is another step.
Yeah, just I don't wanna talk too much longer, I feel like
Yeah, we've
I
kind of,
it's a lot of words for kind of a creed that humanity must kind of access for themselves, but
okay.
my
Yeah.
first piece is, touch your heart. Just touch your
Yeah.
heart, to have a kinesthetic, somatic experience with grief, with
Yeah.
sadness, with a loss, and the other piece is, like, go outside. Just go outside, like,
Yeah.
you know, there are others around us, trees, dandelions, rabbits, fox. They're all trying their best they can. They show up every day too,
Yeah.
and they're all just, doing the same as we are, so we're not alone, and we need some sunshine to keep us going.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's just sort of we can look to nature always as a way to remember that spark. And I love it when I walk in the woods sometimes and I see a dead tree or a stump. It's got a little flower growing out of it.
That's right.
It's like, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about here.
That's right.
Something will emerge. So we wish you all love and compassion and heart, and thank you for watching and participating and being one of those people who can hold both the pain and and
That
recognize the
joy.
pain and the joy and work toward planting seeds for whatever will come next. So
That's right.
whatever will emerge. So blessings and
Adios.
adios.
Death and dying, grief and love.